Hello, business builders. Welcome to another Q&A episode. I don't want to call it episode. Q&A session is what it is. So let's dig right into it. Leilani, what was our first question from this week?
So the first question we have is, how can my financial tools show me if I am behind or ahead of pace for my budget and goals? And, normally I would go in and start answering this right off because I'm the numbers girl. However, Kristen answered this one perfectly a moment ago. So I'm going to turn this over to you, Kristen.
So to be able to know if you're ahead or behind, you actually need a big picture view of what your goal is and the steps leading up to that goal. Meaning you need to know how much money it is you need to generate for all of your expenses and your goals and ambitions. So that's the end goal. And then you need to break it down and work it backwards. I called it reverse engineering. So what do you need to do on a daily basis or a weekly basis or a monthly basis, depending on what type of business you are? And if in one day you don't meet that minimum goal, then you need to add the deficit to your next day's goal. So how to know if you're ahead or behind definitely is going to take you looking at your numbers daily and assessing outgoing expenses versus incoming sales and how those are balancing to your big picture.
Awesome. Yeah, 100% agree. Nailed it. So the second question we have is, what type of reports will give me the best insight to the health of my business? I think this is kind of twofold. The first answer to that is going to be 3 documents: your profit and loss statement, your cash flow statement, along with your balance sheet. I'm just going to say profit and loss. You're going to want to see, are you actually in profit or are you losing overall? Your cash flow is going to show you, do you have enough money in your account to pay for the upcoming operational expenses? And your balance sheet is going to be showing you how much money do you have for in liabilities, right? Do you owe a lot of people? How much do you owe? How much do you have in equity, right? Do you have a lot of money put away to the side for investment purposes? It's going to show you that as well. So having those 3 statements and a broad understanding of what each one of these represent is crucial. Now, the second part of that is going to be other things that can help you. Could be like aged asset reports, right? Do you have receivables that are coming in the future, and when are they going to get paid? Your sales reports, you're going to want to see how much sales you're having on a daily basis, weekly, bi-weekly, something Christian just mentioned. You want to make sure you're looking at those. And then I would just really look at your overall budget in itself. How much money do you need to have consistently monthly in order to make sure all your operational expenses are paid? So that's why it's twofold. The broader picture is going to be profit and loss, again, cash flow and balance sheets. And then your reports you should be looking at on a more frequent basis is going to be your sales reports, your overhead reports, your age receivables.
I would absolutely agree. I think the type of reports that give you the insight, hands down, profit and loss and cash flow, like you need to be able to read those and understand those. But I agree with you. Your sales reports and digging deeper into your KPIs. Your KPI reports are going to definitely give you the health of your business when you can monitor what it is you need to improve to grow your business. Because there's really 3 ways you can grow your business, right? We took this out of Jay Abraham's lesson, that you can either get more customers. So are you increasing your transactions, if you will, or you can sell more to each customer. So are you increasing your average dollar or average unit? Or are you able to increase how often your customers come back to you and checking those repeat business? So I think understanding what your business is and how you can which KPI would go after that metric would also help you understand truly the health of your business. Should we move on to our third question?
Yes. Kristen, go ahead.
Okay. How can I know which social media platform is best for my business? This is a tough question, but it's not. There are so many social media platforms out there, but if you really take time to get to know who your customer is and where that age and individual demographic tends to linger the most, then that's the right answer for you. Now, there are different surveys and research platforms that you can go through that will tell you where various age demographics tend to linger. And I would say they're pretty spot on, but they evolve regularly. I can guarantee you the people that are using Facebook today are not the original reason of why Facebook launched. So, how to reach your customers, 20 years ago, one demographic was reachable on Facebook and it's a very different demographic now. So I think you just need to look at who it is that you are truly trying to reach and not just throw it out there to every single platform. Niche down, get into just 2 or 3 at most, and really saturate that particular platform. Leilani, what would you say?
No, I think you covered it. Social media has been my Achilles heel. Okay. It's not something that I actively have to put it on my schedule to remind myself to go into my social media and interact with people, not only personally, but on a professional level. And one of the things that I found I got really inundated with is all the different options. There's LinkedIn, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's so many different platforms out there, and really saying, okay, but which one of these is really going to target the core customer I'm going after? And then just really concentrating on that. Everything else to the wayside, or you hire someone to take care of it for you. But really, where can I actively push my product or offer my services to my core customer? And you'll see if you're going on, for example, LinkedIn is all about business owners, right? So if you're offering a service and you're trying to, your customer might be other business owners, and most definitely LinkedIn is the place that you want to be, right? If it's Facebook, if your core customer seems to gravitate more towards Facebook, and you'll know if you're in Facebook and you just start scrolling, you'll see whether or not your core customer is on Facebook just by scrolling around and seeing what type of other advertisements are on there. So I'm in agreement with Kristen. Focus on 2, and then the other 18 million social media platforms out there, tackle that later. But and especially if you're just starting out, focus on a couple of them and just really hone in on offering your product or service on the 2 that are relevant to your product or service. So yeah. I think you nailed it there, Kristen.
We're good at this. Okay, this question I love. What is the big deal about social media? Is it really that important to my business? I would say this. Gone are the days of running an ad in a paper and somebody finding it and coming to your business, right? I mean, how many times do we walk away from the TV while there's commercials on, or change the channel on radio when there's commercials on? So social media is a very direct way to get the customers that you're looking for if you understand how to use that platform and the algorithm in it. So what is the big deal? The big deal is being heard and finding future customers. That's what the big deal is.
Most definitely, it's the way you're going to have the biggest reach to your customer, and in the quickest way possible. It's funny, I just got off a meeting earlier and we were talking about QVC. And we were talking about the way QVC operates. Now, QVC, for anyone who doesn't know, they're the ones that back in the day you would see on TV, and it would have a commercial, and they would show you, oh, this cup, it's so multi-use, and look, it's so beautiful and blinged out and everything. It's only $29.99. But if you call now, you can get it for $5.99, and then you'd pick up the phone and you call in and order your product right there and then. QVC's stocks are tanking right now. And one of the biggest reasons why is because their core demographic of people that they were reaching out to are no longer watching cable television. They are now on the internet and they are shopping through social media. So if a big conglomerate like QVC, who's a multi-million dollar company, is now pivoting to start offering their products more on a social media platform, you tell me, is it relevant to your business? Does your business need it? Yeah.
I thought they were gone altogether. Good to know. I mean, I haven't really watched TV in probably 6 years, to be honest.
I cut cable 7 years ago. I haven't had cable in my house in over 7 years. So yeah, it's internet is the new
entertainment.
It's the new entertainment. Yeah. So streaming services and all that. And so in a way, social media is the new entertainment as well.
Yep, I would
And,
agree.
and so it's only a matter of time before all retailers
So
transition and start integrating social media into their different ways of promoting their business.
absolutely. I mean, the big box stores are doing it. They have apps, or they have
Yeah.
ways that you can order straight through their either Instagram ad or their Facebook ad or TikTok ad and so on. So
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely, it's the way of the future. So small businesses, stay relevant.
Yeah, most definitely.
So, part of what we do with these sessions is we dig deeper into two topics that we have covered over the past 2 weeks with you in our business growth community. So, this week, Leilani put together an amazing reminder and refresher of how your mindset should look into basically your financial tools and your routine. So, do you want to dig a little deeper with them on what you covered with that?
Yes. And so the financial tools in my newsletter, I kind of talked about my own anecdotes of what happens to me, what happened to me, and why it became very important for me to kind of get a grip on my numbers and stuff like that. Early detection of issues. I think that was one thing that really, really helped me when I started getting my numbers and aligned and just really understanding where my company stood. Because sometimes you're assuming certain numbers, you have enough money in your bank account, or yeah, I can go ahead and pay that bill. And you really don't, because there's other things that money has already been spoken for. So what I ended up doing is really early detection. All the non-sufficient fund fees stopped, all the paying of late fees stopped, all of the extra interest being paid on various credit cards stopped. I mean, I saved enough in 1 year between bank fees, NSF fees goes under bank fees, but interest and late payments to take a 10-day cruise. I mean, it's just really having yourself aware of the money that's going in and out of your account to avoid having to pay any additional fees on things. So that's why I say early detection of issues. Also, it's giving you the ability to make informed decisions. If you know your numbers, you're using your financial tools to make yourself aware of what's going in and out of your account, you can make better decisions. You might say, well, let me not go ahead and purchase this large sum of inventory at the moment because I need to go ahead and purchase this software, which is going to help efficiency in the operation. You'll be able to make better informed decisions. And then really one of the biggest things that helped me with was confidence. Having an understanding of where my numbers are in my business gave me the confidence of making informed decisions, right? And just making the confidence of saying, I have a viable business. I have a way of managing my funds better that suit the needs of my business. So I would say confidence was a huge thing as well. How about you, Kristen?
So, I think what you're saying for business really applies in personal life too. And I think in order for you to run a really successful business, you have to have your house in order as well, literally. And so a lot of these best practices could start, a lot of businesses start very small and you may not even see actual income as you're building and stuff like that, but you can create these habits that Leilani's talking about with your own personal finances and your personal routine with the start to practice that muscle memory of what you will do then within your business. But you're right, it's when you begin to watch things and catch things. I mean, how amazing that you went on a cruise, right? With just saving, I know those, $23 just, or $25 just for NSF fees, or maybe that's gone up. I don't know. I haven't had it in a long time. Thank goodness.
In 1 week, and this was years ago, but in 1 week, I think I had something like 11 NSF fees hit 3 different bank accounts. It was horrible. And then I don't think I was even in the country when all of this happened. I was in another country when all of this happened. And it was only because various expenses were not accounted for correctly. And they had come out earlier than expected, right? Because part of the arrogance of being an entrepreneur is you think, I got it. It's up here. I know. Listen, we're all human. You can't keep everything trapped in here, and having a way of organizing yourself, especially when it comes to the numbers, was important. So that was a huge hit for me. And so when I started, I think that was my never again moment, and I was like, I'm never doing this again. That was my never doing this again, because it was ridiculous to have to pay that many NSF fees for a silly mistake. But then overall, what that really got me to think about was, all right, I need to really track these expenses. And so I went, I started tracking these expenses. And what I ended up noticing is, yeah, maybe it's $25 here, $36 there. Maybe the interest is only $100, and you're like, oh, that's not too bad. But then when you track it over the course of a year,
And
and
it
you're
adds
seeing
up.
that you're spending $5,000-$6,000 on miscellaneous fees that could be avoided, then you're like, no, this is not going to happen again. So the second year, we've made the changes. We had not one NSFE, we had not one late payment fee, and we were able to reduce the interest being paid down. That I could then go and say, this is how much we spent this year. This is how much we spent this year. Okay, let's go ahead and pay ourselves the difference. And
That's
with that,
amazing.
yeah, but I'm just giving you an example
Yep.
of what it's like to have just an awareness, but in your personal side too. I can
Yeah.
only imagine. I mean, in my personal end, I've NSF galore. Oh my God. I've for NSFs and late fees, but those habits, because I was accepting them in my personal side, they
Trickled
were
into your
transferring
business.
over into the business
Yep.
side. So
Yep.
exactly what Kristen's talking about. Even if you're just starting out and you're not gaining hundreds of thousands of dollars in your business, don't worry. Start on your personal end, because those habits you have started and initiated on your personal end will transfer to the business side.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to start somewhere,
Yep.
right?
I can't remember who said it, but get your house in order. Like, I thought that was such a great, and so it starts at home so
Yeah.
that it can trickle through into your business.
Yeah.
Now, I loved the next part of your newsletter where you dug deeper into really how do you establish your routine with that. So,
Yeah. I think a lot of that has to go with some of the books that we've read, like Atomic Habits, right? Eat That Frog. If Brian Tracy's Eat That Frog is all around, take the most difficult task that you have to do in a day and do it right away. Go ahead and get it done first thing in the day, block it off, focus that time on getting it done. So you're not distracted with all the other crap that'll pop up the rest of your day. So really trying to get into that muscle memory of, as soon as I wake up, you have your routine going on and you tackle the difficult thing. And if it's numbers, right? And I just remember one day just saying, oh, I'll look at my accounts later. It's okay. I know what's going to be coming out. Oh, I'll look at it another day. And just, you kept putting it off. And before you know it, I didn't log into the bank account for like 2 or 3 months. Okay. So all of these things started accumulating. I would just say, if I had taken the mentality of Eat That Frog, which is just, man, just get it out of the way, get it done, it would have taken me literally 20 or 30 minutes to do what I needed to do, versus the 2 or 3 days and all the headaches and all the stress and all the worry, because I let it accumulate later, right? And so it's going back to like Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits says just do things in small incremental stuff and make it a point of doing it every single day, so that way it does become a habit, right? You're not thinking about it anymore. It just is being done,
and I liked what he talked about of like stacking your habits. So, like, if you know that you really love morning coffee, then do you make yourself look at your numbers before you go get your coffee? So it's almost a reward system,
Yeah.
right? Or is it, maybe you really enjoy just doom scrolling on social media, but you say, I'm not going to do that until I've checked my numbers. Yeah. So you do some sort of reward system and stack what habit you need to do. Or, you have your computer ready by your coffee cup and you're like, okay, while I enjoy my first cup of coffee, I am going to check my numbers, because my first cup of coffee is usually done in, 30 minutes or less to get my day going. So,
well, and I love how you brought that up, but yeah, 100%. I think as soon as the hardest part of doing anything is the start, right? So if you can just push yourself just to start it, and every day do it. I mean, I think one of the hardest things that I've had to tell people is when they come to me and ask me that question, well, how often do I need to check my numbers? I'm like, well, how often do you do it now? And I hear responses like, oh, like once a month, oh, like every other week. And I'm like, if you're doing it that seldom, then you need to do it every day because it needs to be a routine, something that you're no longer thinking, dreading, or avoiding. It's just something that it's just so habitual that you're doing it. And so at that point, if it's habitual, now you can start looking into, okay, what do I need to only check in on, once a week? What do I only need to check in once a month? Those things you'll start to notice after you've already done it daily. So that's one of the things I just really wanted to touch on in financial tools is it's regular, guys. There's no way around it. You have to check on it regularly.
Mm-hmm. And then you even talked about expense categorization. Did I say it right?
Categorization. Yeah. Well, that's part of checking it every day. So when you're checking, and I guess let me elaborate on that. When I say checking it every day, that doesn't mean just logging into your bank account and seeing how much money you have inside of it. No. Every day means you're going in and you're categorizing, especially in your financial tool, whatever financial tool. I use QuickBooks, but there's other ones out there. You log into your financial tool and you are logging or categorizing every expense that happened the day before. And some people think it's tedious, right? But the thing about it is, if you really think about it, most of us spend the same 20 categories. It's the same 20 categories that we typically use every single day. So you're really only having to memorize 20 categories and then log in that day and say, oh, we went to a restaurant, meals. Oh, paid the car payment. Oh, paid the mortgage. You're only logging in the same things over and over and over again, that you'll be able to do it really quickly. But that's what I mean by checking in daily. And then what ends up happening as you're checking in daily, weekly, you'll get to a point where you're like, okay, how much money is going to be going out this week? Because you can already see what you spent last week.
See what your trend is. Yeah.
Yeah, you can already see, oh, okay, this month, at the beginning of the month, I budgeted $600 in restaurants. Oh, but let me see. Oh, we spent $200 last week. We spent $200 this week. So we only have a couple $100 left for the remainder of the month. So we might need to slow down, right? And so you're going to become familiar with what expenses are going in and out of your account, that you are not making ignorant decisions, right? You cannot claim ignorance any longer once you're logging into your account all the time, or logging into your financial tool.
Yes, but that's how you begin to take ownership of finances in your life versus being victim to it. How many times have we heard, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I spent so much on coffee a month? Or this one, I didn't realize how much I spent on subscriptions a month.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Yeah. That's kind of the new hidden cost of things, right? The little subscriptions that you sign up for, you're like, oh, what's another $10 a month? Or, oh, what's another?
So I have a game I like to play with subscriptions. And my game is every 6 months, I go threaten that I'm going to cancel my subscription and watch the discount that comes. That's just something I play around with. Just go in and say, oh, I need to cancel my subscription. They usually give you 50% off for another 6 months or something like that. So just something, I'm throwing it out there, but it's a negotiation tool that you can use in your favor, but you won't know it unless you're tracking it.
Good. Love that. So your newsletter, you wrapped up with really great actionable steps. You gave us 3 simple actionable steps.
Oh yeah. Set up your schedule, right? So I think I kind of talked about that already, is just make sure you have it in your calendar. Yeah. In your routine. So one of the things that, again, I log in every day. I've been in business for years, and you'd think I would have passed it off to someone already, but I don't. I log in every single day and categorize my expenses, right?
That's why you have a 7-figure business. That's why you have a 7-figure successful business and growing, right? You don't
because I know my numbers. I know, and I think one of the biggest things is when you're logging in every day and you're logging in your sales and you're logging in your expenses and you're kind of on top of where your cash flow is, you'll start to see if your numbers are not meeting expectations, and you'll be able to pivot if you need to quickly. But if you are not up to date with what's going on in your business, you might catch things a little too late, and you might have to take some drastic decisions, and the worst one being closing up shop because you were not familiar with what's going on in your business financially. And then actionable step number 2 is going to be get a financial tool. Like I said, I use QuickBooks, but there's other ones out there. Find a tool, any tool that will allow you to start tracking your income coming in and your expenses going out at a bare minimum. Okay. And then reflecting and adjusting accordingly. So as you are going through your budget, say you formulated a budget for yourself and you said, yeah, my budget's 10,000 in overhead I typically spend every single month. And if you see that you're spending a little bit more than 10,000, do you need to scale back on things, or do you need to adjust your budget? So just be prepared that as you're going through becoming familiar with your numbers, that doesn't mean they're set in stone. You have to still think about the viability of your company and what works best for your company and adjust from there.
Love that. Was a great, and your boot camp video too, which, either on our YouTube channel or on our website, just so helpful. And I love how you actually take us through different things that you do in QuickBooks, and for your business.
Yeah.
So then the previous week, we dug into marketing again. And, we had the question earlier about, why use social media? Well, there's really 3 reasons to use social media for your business. 1, it's going to be the most cost effective. It's going to save you money because a lot of social media platforms are still free. You could choose to boost things or do paid ads, but you still have the ability to reach your audience at no cost other than sweat equity. The second reason is you actually have a more direct line to your customer. I think I stated it earlier when we were reflecting on the questions that, when was the last time you really sat and watched a TV commercial that motivated you to do anything for a business, or lingered on a radio station that blasted, commercials? So social media is a much more direct way to get to your customer. And then the third great reason to use social media is it gives you the opportunity for real-time feedback and communication. That's huge. If you wake up one morning and you're like, oh my gosh, this is happening in my community, I want to do something to participate in that. Social media can get the word out there in seconds, and you could have a result later that day versus trying to call up the radio company, say what you want to put on the air, work out financing, blah, 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 blah. So those are the 3 reasons really why social media is so important for your business and why to use it. Now, I dug a little deeper in my bootcamp video of how to use various AI tools to actually market your business. So if you get a chance, pop back in and watch that video if you're curious for how to use it. But a lot of people will ask us, which tools are you using in AI? Because Leilani and I, Sage Consultants is spelled the way it is, SAIGE, because we do understand that technology is here for our benefit and for our advantage. And it also is the way of the future. So which ones do we use without compromising authenticity and sincerity? I think the 4 we use the most are OpenAI or ChatGPT. Now, we use those to help us either pull a broad concept together. For example, we used it a lot at first with what topics should we post about on a 30-day schedule for social media? And it gave us a whole agenda. And then we were able to build it sincerely, from our own words and our own thoughts and mindset. Chatty also does help us a little bit with wording when we're having a hard time coming up with something that sounds. So we can plug in what we want to say and we call her Chatty. I just realized I'm just saying her name like it's nothing. We call Chat GPT Chatty.
And she's a girl.
Because she's a girl, because we're girls and girl power. So she will help us reword things in a way, but we have to give her a lot of direction so that it truly does come from us, right? So we might use things like create something that sounds, professional, but sincere and heartfelt or something like that, or make something sound exciting and captivating, but still, so it'll help us a little after we feed it exactly what we want to say. So that's really currently how we're using
And I like
OpenAI.
one of the things that I tend to do with Chatty is sometimes Simon Sinek talks about the limbic brain, right? That sometimes it's really difficult to turn an emotion into a word. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just, you just can't put your finger on it type of thing. And what I really like to use Chatty for sometimes is to help extract the feeling I'm trying to convey. So what I'll do is I'll prompt certain things in there of words that I know of, and then just kind of have a back and forth. And one of the reasons why that helps is because when we want certain topics Kristen and I want to talk about certain things, or we're trying to dialogue on what's the best way to have something done. It's all here. The knowledge is all here, but Chatty can help with prompting certain questions to extract those answers from you.
Yep, absolutely. We also use Canva a lot, and Canva has evolved so much, so not only could we create something from scratch, but we can now go into Canva and actually give it a little bit of direction. And it's amazing. Some
Our
of the
newsletters are made with Canva.
Yeah, absolutely. So Canva can be a really great tool. Our version is subscription based. So I think some of the features that we access are part of us having that subscription, but there's a lot you can do on the free version as well, for sure. I use Meta Business Suite every single day because I have found for Sage that our core customer is really on Facebook and Instagram the most right now. So for us, Meta is a really great way to schedule both Instagram and Facebook and to watch the analytics of it and to see in one quick glance who is responding to something so that I can then log in and dig more into those engagements. And then the third, I think the one we use the most would be CapCut. We use it for both Sage Unplugged and for, Sage consultants, because it takes content that we are making. Just watch us. Part of what you see right here will pass through CapCut. It will make short little reels and shorts for YouTube, and it will allow us to post it on there for additional content. I wrapped up my newsletter with the actionable steps for marketing on social media. And the first, you have to have a plan. And that is what ChatGPT can help you with. But you do need to have a plan of what it is that you want to communicate, or you're just posting something to post something. So know what it is that you want to accomplish and why you're posting. The second is to then engage and interact. So not only with people who respond to your post, but get out to people who are following you or other businesses or individuals that you follow and like and comment, because when you do that, that brings you back to the top of their, algorithm as well. And then the third step is to give it time, but pivot. And this is so weird that I would say that, but social media takes a while to rev up. You're not going to make this. I see it so many times. You create this really beautiful agenda and you post it, and it's crickets, sometimes for days, sometimes for weeks, sometimes for months. But when you do see something that somebody's responding to, that's what you hold on to and pivot and give them more of that. So that's why I say pivot. Double down on what is working. So there would be the 3 actionable steps for marketing with social media. So, all right, friends, this is kind of our bi-weekly sessions that we're sending out to you, recapping these newsletters. This is all part of the business growth community, which right now is housed within a private group in Facebook. Please join. You'll get so much. You get newsletters every week. You get daily inspiration. There's a whole network of incredible individuals in there. And we also started our small business spotlight this month. And this month we're recognizing A to Z event rentals. It was so amazing meeting Anne. You can check out more about Anne and her A to Z event rentals up in Pennsylvania on both our Sage Unplugged, which is, I'll get to next, but also in our Sage community. And then that brings me to, don't forget about our Sage Unplugged videos on our YouTube channel. It is a weekly podcast that Leilani and I just get together after hours, usually together. There's a few virtual ones, but when it's time to let our hair down, kick off the heels, have a drink, and dig into some great business topics. And we've started bringing different business owners. The owner of the Small Business Spotlight is joining us for our Sage Unplugged as well. So we get to learn more about other people's perspectives and journeys.
Thank you
Carry
guys for
on.
joining us. We look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks for our next Q&A. Keep the questions coming. And guess what, guys? Here's to your success. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.